Donald Trump, now the former president, the defeated president, as President Biden refers to him, no one is above the law, not even him.
And forcibly dragged out of a room in a federal building. Then, when the doors were closed, you can see it on the camera, the federal government, the executive branch, taking a member of this body, a member of the United States Senate, a co-equal branch of our government, and driving that man to his knees.
When Senator Padilla gets pushed, shoved, thrown to the handcuffed because he is asking questions, because he is engaging in the very oversight that senators are supposed to engage in.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, she was holding a press conference and doing a press statement. He's not a member of the press. It wasn't like a hearing where it was an open forum for senators to ask questions. He clearly showed up to a public event to create a moment.
Guys, we got to talk about these crybaby Democrats. At first, the tears were delicious. However, it's getting old at this point because this is just straight up political theater. They are crying and whining and just complaining and just acting like big freaking babies that need diaper changes and bibs, and they need their baby bottle. Okay, they need mama's teat because they're upset that Senator Padilla here effed around and found out he disrupted Kristi Noem's press conference, a press briefing, just out of the blue. Just tries to just walk in there, go not just in the back, tried to go up to her face. So this was clearly staged. He knew that they wasn't going to let him get close to her. And of course, security is like, hey, what the hell are you doing? And they pushed him back. They got a whole big old room, and this fool tries to walk forward directly. Hey, we're going to get face to face like this. Like, what the hell you think you on? This was the stupidest thing ever. It's hilarious. Even the fake news wasn't really with him on this one. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but let's go ahead and react to this.
Senator Alex Padilla, I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
There's a couple different clips here, so don't worry, you'll see the full details. Yeah, this one's a little bit longer.
Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary.
Look at him. He's clearly pushing. Like, you could ask questions from where you're at now. Why you got to be pushing forward against the officer? And they're having the audacity to say the officers assaulted him. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I can't believe how low the Democrats have dropped. It's like pathetic.
Because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
Yeah, now you got his hands up.
On the ground. On the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, put them behind my back.
All right. Cool. Other hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
Stupid ass.
There's no recording allowed out here. I did not know. There's no recording allowed out here per FBI rights for the building. For what, I'm sorry? There's no recording allowed out here. That's my boss. I have to record everything allowed out here. You can record. There's no recording allowed out here. I'm not a member of the press. There's no recording allowed. I understand that, sir, but...
Senator Alex Padilla.
Here goes this fool out here crying. I was violently attacked. I was violently attacked by DHS staffers. Like, these people, it's like this is beyond belief how crazy these Democrat leaders and senators and people have become.
You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility.
So this was a press briefing. I just want to remind everybody that this is not a member of the press. More on that.
As a senator, to provide oversight and accountability. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country.
This was a classic F around and find out. And before we get to all the other Democrats that were crying, I want to show you that even CNN is saying, like, hey, you can't just show up to a press conference and then just interrupt the conference, push up against the officers, approach the Department of Homeland Security. Like, she is a member of Trump's cabinet. She's a member of the executive branch. Don't try to act like, oh, this is Congress. This is a member of the executive branch. What the hell? Who the hell you think you is? Like, if you gonna put one above the other, you gonna put a member of Congress or the member of the executive branch. You can't just run up. When you run up, you get done up. It's really that simple.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, she was holding a press conference and doing a press statement. He's not a member of the press. It wasn't like a hearing where it was an open forum for senators to ask a question. He clearly showed up to a public event to create a moment and do what you're saying, sort of show his constituents, not just Democrats, but that he's fighting from his perspective. Again, I think the question is, was this the appropriate response of how it got dealt with?
Obviously, LaMonica McIver, a congresswoman from New Jersey, has now been indicted on 3 federal charges for which she could face up to 18 years in prison in an altercation that started not dissimilarly from this. You know, one of the things I was looking for is whether or not Senator Padilla himself put his hands back on those who were involved in that altercation with him, as LaMonica McIver is alleged to have done. And you can see from the video you're showing right now somewhat that Senator Padilla is pushing back or has his hands on the officer. From the video that I have seen, it's much clearer. At some point, he then stops resisting, puts his hands up, and nonetheless, they push him down the hallway, put him face down, his hands behind his back. He's arrested.
This is a federal building. You can't just, wander in there necessarily. What reporting do you have, and how should we, in your view, be analyzing how we're seeing these agents respond?
Well, it's easy to think about this as one incident, but actually from a law enforcement perspective, we're really looking at 3 separate incidents that happened within a short period of time. First, you have the DHS secretary who is addressing the press. This was not a Q&A period, and she's interrupted. She's interrupted by someone who is speaking very loudly, and so her security detail confronts what we obviously now know to be the senator, and at that point, he is now going to be escorted out. You can't interrupt something like that that's already in progress without having those consequences. But the second incident, in my view, happens the moment as officers are trying to lead him out, he then turns and walks back towards kind of into those agents. At that point, from a security detail perspective, we're taking this person out against their will. We've asked the person, and again, this is all happening very quickly, but the moment he then turns into them, they realize this is not someone who is going to comply.
Now, of course, regardless of that, the Democrats are out here crying. You got AOC and Warren or Pocahontas and many others just out here just bitching about this. It is so freaking pathetic.
To ask a cabinet secretary a question, was assaulted, thrown to the floor, and arrested. And then secondly, what is also deeply alarming is that the Department of Homeland Security under Secretary Kristi Noem has gone to the public and lied. This is an out-of-control agency, and there must be consequences.
I just saw something that made my stomach turn, something I didn't think that I would see, even under this administration. A United States senator pushed to the ground and handcuffed after asking questions of a federal government official. This kind of thing is designed to make them more afraid.
I just saw something that sickened my stomach. The manhandling of a United States senator. We need immediate answers to what the hell went on. I yield the floor.
And I watched with horror on this video seeing these agents grab my colleague, my fellow senator from California, grab him, push him out of the hearing as he was identifying himself as a U.S. senator, bring him into a hallway, bring him down to the ground, bring his arms behind his back. I saw this happen to my colleague, and I am shocked.
We don't use our fists. We don't shove. We don't try to knock people down. We use our words. That's what oversight is all about.
These people are so fraudulent, guys. So fraudulent, so fake. This is why most people don't trust them at this point. This is why the majority of Americans don't trust them. Even minorities don't trust them anymore. Even some of the most gullible people are no longer trusting these clowns because they see it. They see that this is just an act. It's fake. It's fraudulent. Noem gave her accounts of what happened that day, and it's quite different from what these woke behind Democrats, who always are going to say Republicans did something wrong, had to say.
I had a conversation with the senator after this. We sat down for 10 to 15 minutes and talked about the fact that nobody knew who he was. He didn't say who he was, that until he was already had been lunging forward and people were trying to detain him for quite a period of time, and that this, we're leaders, we're public servants. And if he had requested a meeting, I would have loved to have sat down and had a conversation with him, that coming into a press conference like this is political theater. It's wrong, and it does a disservice to this country and the people who live here. So we sat down, had a conversation. We probably disagree on 90% of the topics, but we agreed to exchange phone numbers. We'll continue to talk and share information, and I think that's the way it should be in this country. I wish he would have acted that way in the beginning instead of creating a scene like this.
So you had a great conversation. This guy didn't want to have a great conversation. He wanted exactly what's happening today. Basically, the Democrat strategy seems to be this. Donald Trump's not doing anything that's like bad enough in their eyes that people are disagreeing with. Most of his polls are showing that they agree with everything that he's doing. So they're trying to like create something, make something happen so that we can get Trump. They're still after the same goal from before. Get Trump. We got to get him. How do we take him out? How do we impeach him? How do we make him look bad? How do we win? Nothing's working because you look like idiots. This is so stupid. I never seen such freaking crybabies. This reminds me of the people who like, how everybody jokes like if they get in like a fender bender car accident, they're just gonna like roll out of the car. This reminds me of that. It's the same thing, except on a much grander scale and even more obvious. Nothing even happened to this dude. Like, he was violently assaulted. He was tackled to the ground. Imagine what they're gonna do to you if they would do that to him. Like, these people are so freaking pathetic. Such crybabies. It is like nauseating. I'm like, what are we, like 3 years old? Like, save the tears for freaking preschool. Hell, even before, what comes before a preschool, guys? I mean, this is where this type of stuff belongs. It's pathetic. These people are a joke. And there's nothing else that we can really do besides laugh at them. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you do. I appreciate you watching the Black. Now I'm going to leave. Rising. I'm out.
I think that behavior at a minimum is, it rises to the level of a censure. I think there needs to be a message sent by the body as a whole that is not what we are going to do. That's not how we're going to act. We're not going to have branches fighting physically and having senators charging cabinet secretaries.